Chrissy Teigen was tweeting about politics yesterday, including about Bernie Sanders. And she responded to a reply she'd gotten from a Bernie supporter by saying, Bernie supporters will be the downfall of Bernie. I don't even hate him, but you guys are absolutely insufferable. Do him a favor and stop being so combative against Democratic criticism. So look, and by the way, you can read, there's many replies where she goes back and forth with a number of different people. And I will say specifically in that conversation, the replies to her were not diplomatic. I mean, I wouldn't want that sort of activity in my Twitter feed. I think that she has been pretty anti-Bernie in the past. So I don't think that that's necessarily a fair way she characterized herself in the beginning. But what do you think about the criticism that Bernie supporters in particular are too aggressive on Twitter to people who disagree with them?
People are too aggressive on Twitter in general. So I'm not even gonna go after Bernie supporters specifically. But like, look, I mean, I've been getting into arguments with people, but I think they're more, Tulsi Gabbard supporters about how I think Elizabeth Warren is the second most progressive candidate in the race. That's fine. People are very aggressive towards me, but I'm in the realm of politics. Chrissy Teigen doesn't know anything. She's a rich person who doesn't love Bernie Sanders. Join the club of rich people, which probably has wonderful shrimp cocktails. And I'm sure they make them out of her cookbook, which every white girl in America has bought.
I also bought it.
Oh, you did? Well, shame on you.
I bought a little bit of her cookware recently, actually. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Her recipes are great, okay? Have you made her potato smashies? They're a delight.
Chrissy Teigen shill. You're a Teigen corporate shill.
That is true.
I'm starting the hashtag.
Okay, sorry for that diversion.
But yeah, no, I mean, she's a rich person that doesn't like Bernie Sanders. Join the club, and I think her arguments against him are largely weak. What I found interesting was she was replying to his tweet that we referenced earlier, that was kind of going a little after Elizabeth Warren and defending her. I'm so annoyed by like these people who just kind of dabble in politics now being like, oh, Elizabeth Warren's my candidate and versus Bernie. Like they don't really understand, I think, the similarities in policy and how defending Hillary Clinton in 2016 is super different from defending Elizabeth Warren in 2020, because they are extremely different people with very different priorities. And just because she's a woman, now we're seeing this sort of neoliberal coalition around her, not even from like actual people in the establishment, but from just casual viewers on Twitter like Chrissy Teigen. And it just is a little bit of a pet peeve, because when we're talking about policy, the only candidates that would be candidate that's more different than Hillary Clinton is Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit torn on it. I think, look, yes, she's a rich celebrity, but I think that she knows as much as the vast majority of people on Twitter do about politics, and she's certainly free to express herself, even if on this I disagree with her. I've been a Bernie Sanders supporter for a very long time, longer than we were talking about him before anyone thought it was a serious candidacy back in 2015. And so I delight in being attacked by people who've been a Bernie supporter for far less time. But I'm not gonna pretend that there aren't Bernie supporters on Twitter who are absolute awful toxic trolls. There are. It's Twitter. It's where trolls go to live. It's where you go for trolls.
Yeah. And I will say that there's some candidates that have a cult of personality around them. Trump is the most infamous one. I would say Tulsi Gabbard is another one. And but Bernie has some too. And just because I agree with him on almost everything, and he's one of the two candidates I'm probably going to vote for. That's what I've narrowed it down to as of right now. Probably him. That doesn't mean that I can't acknowledge that some of the supporters are go a little too far.
Yeah. While at the same time acknowledging that I've seen like the people who, I guess there are people who agree with like Neera Tanden on stuff. They're not nice on Twitter. Like they're aggressive too. And I saw comments responding to some of this saying like, when I would make the point that like, some groups are a little bit more aggressive, or maybe that a lot of people are aggressive, they'd be like, well, Julian Castro supporters on Twitter aren't that toxic. And it's like, I guess I haven't seen much from them, honestly, from a lot of these candidacies that don't have that much support necessarily. So my
supporters make a great pecan pie.
I would say in general, and I tweeted to this effect this morning, most people on Twitter are far too sure of themselves, far too hostile towards people that disagree with them. I am like that sometimes too, and I feel like when it's tweeting at someone in like right-wing media or something, it's justified, but we do have to try to be a little bit more understanding, I think.
That's a great message, John. Thank you.
I'm trying.
kumbaya.
I'm trying. And by the way, however bad you think that any particular group are, whether it's Bernie Sanders supporters or not, there are Twitter like contrarians who, like some of whom profess that they like Bernie Sanders. I personally think that they worship at the altar of nihilism, that are far worse. So let's understand the severity of the things we're dealing with. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.